The underground arena beneath the old tea house in Wan Chai buzzed with cigarette smoke and whispered bets. Red lanterns cast dancing shadows on brick walls, stained with decades of sweat and blood. Tonight was different. The crowd was 3 times larger than usual, money changing hands faster than dim sum at a Sunday brunch. Iron Fist. Chen stood in the center ring, his massive frame blocking out one of the overhead lights. For 3 years, he had been the undisputed champion of these illegal Friday night fights. His record was perfect. 47 opponents, 47 victories, average fight time, 58 seconds. His technique was as simple as it was devastating. Direct punches that could shatter ribs like chopsticks. Chen rolled his shoulders, the muscles rippling under his black tank top. His hands were weapons, each knuckle scarred from countless victories. The crowd knew the routine by now. A new challenger would step into the ring full of confidence. Chen would advance with those mechanical piston-like punches, and within a minute, another hopeful would be carried out on a stretcher. "Ladies and gentlemen," announced Master Liu, the elderly fight organizer whose raspy voice had called hundreds of these matches. "Tonight's challenger needs no introduction." The crowd stirred as Jackie Chan emerged from the shadows near the back stairs, wearing simple black pants and a white button-up shirt that looked like he'd just come from a business meeting. At first, scattered laughter rippled through the audience. This was Jackie Chan, the movie star who hung from clock towers and slid down poles, not a serious fighter. "Is this a joke?" someone shouted in Cantonese. "He's going to get killed," whispered another. Jackie smiled that familiar, disarming grin as he walked through the crowd. People patted his shoulders, some genuinely concerned, others already writing him off. He'd heard it all before. The betting boards immediately shifted to ridiculous odds, 30-1 against Jackie, lasting more than 2 minutes. "You sure about this, movie star?" Chen called out, his voice booming over the crowd. "I don't pull my punches for celebrities." Jackie climbed into the makeshift ring, which was nothing more than a circle of rope on the concrete floor. "I appreciate that," he replied, his English accent mixing with Cantonese undertones. "I wouldn't want you to." As Master Liu explained the simple rules, no weapons, fight until knockout or submission, Jackie did something so subtle that only someone watching very carefully might have noticed. He reached into his shirt pocket, as if checking for something, then casually ran his right hand through his hair. When his hand came down, he briefly touched his palm with his fingertips, as if brushing away dust. The gesture lasted less than 3 seconds. Most of the crowd was focused on Chen's intimidating warm-up routine, shadow boxing with movements that generated audible whooshes through the air. The few who noticed Jackie's hand movement dismissed it as nervousness. "Fighters ready?" Master Liu raised his arm. Chen cracked his neck from side to side, settling into his signature stance, left foot forward, right hand cocked back like a loaded cannon. He had ended fights with his opening punch 17 times. His strategy never varied. Overwhelming force, delivered with mechanical precision. Jackie bounced lightly on his toes, his hands loose at his sides. He looked almost casual, like he was waiting for a bus rather than facing the most dangerous underground fighter in Hong Kong. "Fight!" Chen exploded forward like a locomotive, his right fist cutting through the air toward Jackie's face with the force of a sledgehammer. The crowd collectively held its breath. They had seen this exact moment dozens of times. The devastating right hand that ended dreams and broke bones. But something impossible happened. As Chen's fist approached Jackie's head, Jackie's right hand came up to meet it, not to block, but to touch. For a split second, their hands made contact, and then Chen's unstoppable punch simply slid away. The massive fighter's momentum carried him forward, off balance, stumbling past Jackie like he had swung at smoke. The crowd erupted in confused murmurs. Chen spun around, his face showing genuine surprise for the first time in years. He had felt his punch connect with something, but it was as if Jackie's hand had been made of water. "Lucky," Chen growled, resetting his stance. He launched another devastating combination. Left hook, right cross, left hook again. Each punch carried enough power to knock out a horse. And each time, Jackie's hands seemed to barely touch Chen's fists before they mysteriously glided away, deflected by some unseen force. After the 4th missed combination, Chen was breathing hard, not from exertion, but from confusion. His punches were landing on Jackie's hands. He could feel the contact, but somehow the force was disappearing, redirected into empty air. Jackie hadn't moved more than 2 steps in any direction. He looked like he was conducting an orchestra rather than fighting the most dangerous man in Hong Kong's underground. The crowd sensed something unprecedented was happening. Chen stepped back, wiping sweat from his forehead despite the cool, underground air. For the first time in 3 years, he was the one looking confused. "What kind of trick is this?" he demanded, his voice carrying a note of frustration that his fans had never heard before. Jackie shrugged with that easy smile. "No tricks, just physics." The champion advanced again, this time more cautiously. He threw a measured jab, watching carefully as Jackie's hand came up to meet it. Again, the impossible happened. Contact, then instant redirection. Chen's punch slipped away like he was trying to grab a bar of soap with wet hands. Old Master Wu, sitting ringside with his expensive cigar, leaned forward. Wu had been watching underground fights for 40 years and had never seen anything like this. "How is he doing that?" Wu muttered to his associate. Jackie continued his subtle dance, each contact with Chen's fists seeming to defy the laws of combat. Chen's punches weren't being blocked or deflected in any conventional sense. They were being encouraged to miss, guided gently away from their targets as if by an invisible hand. The crowd began to notice Chen's growing frustration. Fighters who had watched him demolish opponents week after week started murmuring among themselves. This wasn't how fights with Iron Fist Chen went. By now, his opponent should have been on the ground, possibly on the way to the hospital. "Stop playing games," Chen roared, launching a wild haymaker that could have taken Jackie's head clean off. This time, Jackie did something different. As Chen's massive fist approached, Jackie caught it with both hands, and instead of resisting the force, he helped it along, spinning with the punch and using Chen's own momentum to send the big man stumbling into the ropes. Chen crashed into the crowd, knocking over 2 spectators and a folding chair. The arena fell silent except for the sound of Chen picking himself up, his face flushed with embarrassment and rage. "Impossible," whispered Master Liu, who had refereed over 300 fights. Chen charged again, abandoning all technique in favor of raw fury. He threw a barrage of punches, each one powerful enough to break concrete. Jackie's hands moved like water, touching each fist just enough to send it sailing harmlessly past his body. It looked like Chen was fighting a ghost. Then, in one fluid motion that took exactly 4 seconds, Jackie caught Chen's right wrist during a particularly wild swing, stepped to the side, and used the fighter's own forward momentum to flip him completely over. Chen landed flat on his back with a sound like a sack of rice hitting the floor. The crowd exploded, shouts of disbelief mixed with scattered applause. Money started changing hands as people realized they were witnessing history. Chen rolled over and pushed himself up on his hands and knees, staring at the concrete floor. For the first time in years, he was the one looking up at an opponent. "How?" he asked, genuinely confused. Jackie walked over and extended his hand to help Chen up. "Oil," he said simply. "What?" "Cooking oil," Jackie explained, helping the bigger man to his feet. "Just a tiny amount on my palm. When you punch with that much force, any slippery surface becomes like ice. Your punches slide right off instead of connecting. Basic kitchen physics." Chen stared at Jackie's right hand, then slowly began to smile. "You turned my strength against me." "Your punches are incredible," Jackie said respectfully, "but force without control is just chaos. I simply gave your chaos a direction." Master Liu stepped forward, still processing what he had witnessed. "The winner, by... He paused, unsure how to classify what had just happened. "By redirection," Jackie suggested helpfully. The crowd buzzed with excited conversation. Some were angry about lost bets, others amazed by the technique they had just witnessed. Several younger fighters pushed forward, eager to understand what they had seen. "But how did you know it would work?" asked Chen, his earlier anger replaced by genuine curiosity. Jackie grinned. "I didn't, but I knew trying to match your strength was suicide, so I thought about what makes things slip. Rain on marble, soap on skin, oil on metal. Your fists are weapons, but even weapons obey physics." An old woman near the back of the crowd, Master Liu's grandmother, cackled with delight. 70 years I've been watching fights," she called out in Cantonese. "First time I ever saw someone win with cooking ingredients." Chen extended his hand to Jackie, who shook it firmly. "Teach me," Chen said. "The oil trick?" "No," Chen replied seriously. "How to think like that. How to turn problems into solutions." Jackie looked around the arena, at the faces of fighters young and old, all watching this exchange. "First lesson," he said loud enough for everyone to hear. "The strongest person in the room isn't always the person with the biggest muscles. Sometimes it's the person who best understands how the room works. Master Lu nodded approvingly. Wisdom wins again, he announced. Just like the old days? As the crowd began to disperse, several fighters lingered, asking questions about leverage, momentum, and creative thinking. Jackie spent another hour in that smoky basement, not teaching fighting techniques, but teaching something more valuable, how to see solutions where others see only problems. 3 months later, the underground fighting scene in Wan Chai had completely transformed. The arena beneath the old tea house still hosted Friday night matches, but the atmosphere had shifted from brutal spectacle to something resembling a martial arts laboratory. Chen, no longer calling himself Iron Fist, had become an eager student of adaptive fighting. He still possessed devastating punching power, but now he combined it with timing, misdirection, and environmental awareness. His fights became chess matches rather than demolitions, and surprisingly, the crowds grew larger. Students always become teachers eventually, Jackie observed, watching Chen explain momentum principles to a group of younger fighters. They sat in the same arena where 3 months earlier, Chen had been the undisputed king of brute force. Master Lu approached Jackie, carrying 2 cups of tea. You've changed everything down here, he said, offering 1 cup. Half these kids are studying physics now instead of just throwing punches. Jackie accepted the tea gratefully. Fear makes people stupid, he replied. Chen wasn't really invincible, he just convinced everyone, including himself, that strength was the only answer. In the ring, Chen was demonstrating something he called water boxing, the art of redirecting force rather than meeting it head-on. His students practiced with tennis balls and oil, learning how friction and momentum could be allies rather than obstacles. The funny thing, Master Lu continued, is that Chen's actually winning more fights now than when he was just trying to knock people unconscious. Jackie nodded. Fear-based strength is brittle. Understanding-based strength adapts. A young fighter named David approached, bowing respectfully. Sifu Jackie, I have a question about the oil technique. I'm not a teacher, Jackie replied gently, and it was never about the oil. David looked confused. But that's how you beat Chen. I beat Chen the moment I decided not to fight him the way he wanted to be fought, Jackie explained. The oil was just the tool. The real weapon was refusing to play by rules that guaranteed I would lose. Chen overheard and walked over, wiping sweat from his forehead. 3 months of practice, and I'm still learning new things every day, he said. My grandmother always told me that water eventually wears down even the hardest stone, but I never understood what she meant until that night. Your grandmother sounds wise, Jackie replied. She was. She also used to say that the most dangerous opponent isn't the strongest or the fastest. It's the one who thinks differently than everyone else expects. Chen paused, then smiled. I think she would have liked that fight. Master Lu checked his watch. Speaking of fights, Jackie, are you planning to return to the ring anytime soon? The betting houses are offering crazy odds for your next match. Jackie laughed. I think I'll stick to movies for now. Less chance of getting punched in the face. But more chance of hanging from helicopters, Chen pointed out. True, but helicopters don't take it personally when you redirect their momentum. As the evening wound down and the fighters began to leave, Jackie found himself alone with Master Liu in the empty arena. The old fight organizer was counting the night's receipts, but his movements seemed contemplative. You know what's interesting? Master Liu said without looking up. That night when you used the oil trick, it wasn't really about winning or losing anymore. It became about showing people that there's always another way. Jackie considered this. My father used to tell me that the best victories are the ones where everyone learns something, including yourself. What did you learn that night? Jackie thought for a moment. That sometimes the most profound changes happen in the smallest moments. 30 seconds of contact between my hand and Chen's fist changed the entire culture of this place. Master Liu finished counting and looked around the arena. You turned a place of violence into a place of learning. That's not a small thing. Chen did that, Jackie corrected. I just showed him it was possible. As they climbed the stairs leading back to street level, Jackie could hear the sound of Hong Kong at night. Traffic, distant music, the gentle hum of a city that never quite sleeps. Above them, neon signs painted the narrow alley in electric blues and reds. The real lesson, Jackie said as they reached the street, isn't about oil or physics or clever fighting techniques. It's about remembering that every impossible situation has at least one solution you haven't thought of yet. Master Liu locked the door behind them. And sometimes, he added, that solution is hiding in your shirt pocket, waiting for the right moment to change everything. They parted ways at the corner, Jackie heading toward the bright lights of the main street, carrying with him the knowledge that the smallest adjustments can redirect the largest forces, whether in underground fighting rings or anywhere else where people believe that strength alone determines victory.